Hey guys, welcome to the Creamery's Royal Icing Floral tutorial. These little buggers are the things I'm going to show you how to make. Actually, they're really fun. I'm going to first start off with this very simple flower that you can, it's so versatile. We're going to start with a 104 Wilton tip. And we're going to get that beautiful teardrop shape. You're going to start with that thicker base towards you, that thinner out. And you're just going to put the pressure on your bag and you're going to swirl up and down and you're going to release that pressure and you're coming down off that petal. Some people keep going and around and around. I prefer to do individual petals when I'm doing the outside of the flower until I get to the middle of the flower, and then I'll swirl it. But in this case, I like to do individual petals for the outside. And I just keep going. Some people like to do different spots, but I just keep going. I just think it makes it look symmetrical, and I like it that way. So again, you push the pressure on, up and down, release, up and down, release, up and down, release, until you get all the way around. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and make a little mound in the center of the cookie, center of your flower. You're going to give it some elevation there. And then you're just going to twirl it around to make a little bud in the middle, kind of the center of your flower. Now with these flowers, if this was a rose, I'd redo that. But this flower, it actually looks a lot better if you just kind of have a wonky little middle there. And then I'm going to swirl around the center of it to make a really pretty center. And then I'm going to, I love scribe tools. I fix so many mistakes, which I make a lot of, so I love my scribe tool. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a little bit of the Sugar Arts White Diamond. This is FDA approved, completely 100% edible sugar art. This beautiful glitter, you just sprinkle a little bit on there and it just makes a really gorgeous flower. This is the Wilton 352 leaf tip. My favorite leaf tip. You can also cut this with your tipless bag. Just make a V. But you always do it with the point facing down towards the center. That's how you're going to make your leaf. You're going to apply pressure, release. And then you're going to do this quickly if it's a small flower, but you're going to go slower if it's a big flower. See how I go a little bit slower? Because I want to fill that leaf in. I said flower, I'm not leaf. You're going to fill that leaf in. And then at the end, you're going to release the pressure and you're going to pull off there so that you make that beautiful tip. Nice and shiny. We're going to let that dry and then I'll add some embellishments. This is just your typical swirl rose. I usually prefer the 1M tip, but they went into the garbage disposal, so now I've learned that I need to buy new ones. So I'm using a Wilton 2D tip here. And the same concept is true. You're going to apply pressure, same pressure throughout the entire process of swirling. And you're just going to make a nice tight swirl around the entire shape of that cookie. And then release that pressure and just kind of pull that away. Now I probably should have overlaid those just a little bit more so I don't have the spaces in the middle, but it's going to look just as pretty, so it's okay. Again, with the white diamond sprinkle on there. And then when this dries, I love to go ahead and add a little bit to the tips. So I'll tell you about that later. But I'm going to take the 352 again, same type of thing, but I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you a little bit closer. I'm going to make my small leaf first. And then I will bring it up and I'll show you how to do the bigger leaf. So you're going to apply the pressure to the bag and you're going to let that sit for a second, see? And then pull up and push down, pull up and push down, pull up and push down, depending, until you fill that in. And then release that pressure and pull that out, and then look at that beautiful little tip at the top. And look at that white diamond just shining right there. Now we're going to do the rose. And with this rose, you're going to use that 104 tip again, the same one we used for that first flower, but this time you're going to start off with a mound in the middle. And like I said before, for the rose, you're going to make a nice tight swirl. So you're just going to go ahead and you're going to swirl that around and make a nice tight bud in the center. Now I am going to attempt to try to show this closer to you guys, but unfortunately this is a big cookie and I really do need to be able to twirl it, and I can't do that with my hand. So, but I am going to pipe, you do 3 petals around that bud, and usually people do an odd number, so it's a 3, 5, 7, 9 as you go around the flower. I just go ahead and start after I do my 3. I start out from the middle of one of the petals and I just pipe another petal and go around. And start from the middle, pipe around. Oh, I made a mistake. What else is new? There we go. So pipe around. And then as you can see, I love using my turntable because it helps so much more. But then as I come outward, which I should actually be making these petals a little bit longer at this point. So just so you know, you should be making a little bit. That's why I end up with a little bit of hole, some holes in my petals in my flower. But the more you go out from the center of the flower, the longer the petals should be. And then as well, you can see that my tip, I'm starting to point that tip outwards. So I pointed it straight up and down before, now I'm pointing it out. I'm pointing it more towards me as I go around. That way the petal is starting to curve outward and giving it a more open appearance. And I just go ahead and I pipe around. As you can see there's a hole. I should have had that petal just a little bit longer from before, but that's okay. It'll still look beautiful because flowers just look pretty. They just do. So you're just going to go ahead and you're going to pipe it around and around and around. And this is so therapeutic to me. I absolutely love making flowers. It's one of my favorite things to do. So then once you completely go around the entire flower with your petal tip, I go ahead and I clean things up with the scribe to make them nice. And I have a wet towel there that I'm using, and I make them nice and smooth. I was trying to fix that hole, but I needed just to make that petal longer. But then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the leaves again, the 352 Wilton leaf tip. And I'm going to pipe on those leaves. And then for this flower, as you can see, I'm like, how do I pick this thing up? Because I didn't want to mess it up. I'm going to go ahead, instead of using the glitter, the white diamond glitter, I'm going to use the silver in the pump to show you a little bit different. And again, I love the sugar. 100% edible, FDA approved. And you just pump it on there, and it just makes it look so beautiful. I usually use this one for my unicorns. And it's so pretty. It just makes a beautiful sparkle. And there you go. There's the rose. Now I'm going to show you with that same cutter, I'm going to do a little garden. And when you start with a garden and you do anything that has multiple flowers on it, you want to actually start with your leaves first instead of flowers. You can fill in with leaves as well, but I'm just going to go ahead and use again that 352 Wilton tip. And I'm going to pipe on my leaves. And in this case, I'm putting them down first, so I'm coming in a little bit further than I normally would, since the flower usually takes over. But I want to be able to come in enough to where I can actually lay the flower on top of it, which is why we put them down first, or put a few of them down first. I'm too lazy to make another bag of icing and cut a hole at the end to make the vines, so I just use the same Wilton tip. If it was a smaller cookie and I was doing a smaller floral thing, I would actually do a separate bag and cut a hole in it. But in this case, it's a big cookie, and I like the dimension that the Wilton 352 gives, so I just go ahead and I make my vine with that one, putting it down straight instead of like a leaf, and then I use my scribe tool to kind of fix the edges of it and lay it down, so then I'll pipe on the buds to it later. And I just kind of play, really. I look at the cookie and I think, where am I going to put my flowers? Where can I put a couple of leaves and vines so it looks a little bit symmetrical? Knowing that after I do put the flowers on, I'm actually going to fill it in some more. But this is just to kind of give it a base layer to lay those flowers on top of. Again, I'm going to do the vine using the tip the wrong way, just because I'm lazy, but I also like the way it looks because it's on a big cookie. And so I just kind of play around with, what do I want this to look like, and how do I make this look symmetrical? So I'm going to go ahead and start my flowers now. I'm taking that exact same Wilton 2D tip that I made the big swirl rose with, but I'm going to do a smaller swirl. I'm going to lay that right on top of those leaves. Just like I did before, but just do it in a smaller version. And then I'm going to take, in a different color, I'm going to take, put that on my, I believe this is a Wilton 32. And it's like a very small version of the 1M, but I'm just going to make some small swirls, like little bud flowers over here off of the sides of this one, just to give it some dimension, add some different color, that kind of stuff, which is great because it fills the cookie in and it gives some wonderful dimension to the garden here. Then I'm going to take that 104 tip again, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add those petals, just like I did with the first cookie, but this time this one's going to be smaller. It's like me combining all of those flowers I just showed you. And I'm going to make just smaller versions of it. And again, this one is just very versatile because you could do one layer, you could do 2 layers, you could make a bud in the middle. In this case, I'm not going to make a bud in the middle. I'm just going to go ahead and do like 3 little petals there in the middle to give it some dimension and fix anything I need to fix with my little oopsie tool. And then I'm going to add in, again with that same 32, I did a little star with that one instead, because there's so many different things you can do with these tips. Sometimes it's nice just to put out some parchment paper and play with tips and see what you can do with them. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take that leaf tip again, and I'm going to just pipe these leaves upward to make it look like a little bush or a little cactus. And basically, instead of making all those ridges, I'm only going to do one. And I'm pulling up. So I'm putting the pressure down, squeezing, then just releasing that pressure and pulling off that flower. And then depending on how much you have there, you can make it really long, but I like little short. If I was doing like a full-on cactus with different colors, I would actually go longer. And that way it would make a nice longer leaf tip. And then I'm filling in with different leaves using that same tip. I was filling in with different leaves. Now I'm making my bud. So this is just a 2. And you can just cut that with I'm using the same bag, so I like to be able to switch out tips. But in this case, this is just a 2, a Wilton 2, and I'm making little buds. Just again to add some dimension color-wise. And it's really nice. And then I kind of examine the cookie, kind of feel like, what else can I do here? What can I fix? I do use corn syrup in my Floral icing as well. Some people don't, but I do just because I like it to dry a little bit slower and softer, because you're adding a lot more icing here. So you want it to still have a softer bite, and you want to be able to have it dry just a tad bit slower, just so that you can play with it a bit more. And then I'm just going to go ahead and add again some more leaves. I like to fill things in and play with it a bit. And, I like a bite of icing with every single bite because I love the icing. So again, I'm going to take that white diamond and it's going to plop right out of there. That's why you have to be careful. I probably should have put some on the other side, but these are just for us. This is just for, be doing the tutorial. So there you go. There's your cookies. And I've embellished some of those with some more sugar art. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope that this helps you a little bit. And if you're reading that, you are my best friend.